What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Sparza, coming to you with another great installment of Running the Gauntlet. I hope that you're excited. I know that I am. I know that we have a great guest for you here today. He's awesome. He's dope. He's meditating, at least what it looks like from that. I mean, well, now he's back up and wake, but he's harnessing his power for the board that he is up against today, because I don't think he knows exactly what he's in for. David Garmo, savage competitor. How he fares against the board, we don't know yet. We're going to find that out. But before we get started with our good friend David Garmo, let's talk a little bit about business. First and foremost, if you like the merch we have here on the show, check this out. We got merch. We're starting to roll low on supplies, but this is the Grappling Hour t-shirt. You can go on over to rafasparza.com/merch to get yours. $25 for a t-shirt. We also got some hoodies. They're very warm. If you live in a cold place like Garmo does, you want that warmness. It just makes you feel all cozy. It makes you feel like you want to read a book or survive a bad thunderstorm. It's a very versatile hoodie, is what I'm saying here. Also, I can't tell if that marketing language is something I can be sued for, so it's just used for all uses, I guess is the easiest way to say that. So, check those things out. Additionally, if you are watching this right now, like, comment, subscribe. If you comment during this live show, we will be able to integrate those comments. So I will be looking out for them through today, as I just got one right now. Look at this. I just got Andy sending me a popcorn emoji. I love that. Everybody loves to have some popcorn. That's what I'm saying. It means he knows some good shit is coming. So thank you very much for that, good sir. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube page. We're trying to get to about 1,000 people on there. I have other channels that you guys have subscribed to. If you like that one, just come on to this. So I hope you enjoy the stuff that we do here. Last couple orders of business. Join our Discord. You can find it at Grappling Hour, and join our Patreon. If you guys know anything about us, we give you at least 4 interviews per month. We actually overshoot that, just giving you guys the heads up. And we give you guys 30 days access for those interviews before anybody else. So that means you can see it 30 days before the rest of these yahoos. Today, we got one premiering. We got an interview with Julian Espinoza that is going up live on our YouTube page immediately after this little thing that we're doing here. So stick around for that if you so like it. But yes, check us out on Patreon. You can do that, and you could also get early access and our premium offerings. And to our premium folks, you get to see people roast my competition footage. You get to see tape studies that we do with athletes about some of their best matches. And you also get to see our little mini-sodes that we do with the athletes on a given topic that you yourself can pitch. So if you don't like them, it's your pitch. Just know that. It's not always me. All right, let's get to our guest and to our orders of business. What can I say, folks? Our guest is kind of a renaissance man. I needed somebody with style and stature to come for this post-Oscars episode of the show. So I said, who has that elegance, that style, that charisma? And I mean, nobody really stuck out to me. But then I realized I know David Garmo, and that man has style. And that dude will find the perfect chair and the perfect attire to make it seem like an elevated status. So I'm so glad to welcome him, fresh from almost power bombing somebody at an IBJJF in Indianapolis. Please welcome back to the show our good friend, David Garmo. David, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How's it going, Raf?
Not too bad, not too bad. So I'm very proud of you. You didn't end up power bombing this person, but it was going through your head, correct?
100%. He was a little taller than me, so I had this good crotch lift, and I'm like, I'm just gonna dump him on his head. And I started to do it, and then at the top, I realized I'm like, this is an IBJJF event. I can't do this, and so I had to make an adjustment. It didn't end up as sweet as it could have been, but it was still fun to throw the lift up, you know?
I mean, listen, dude, I was sold on it. I was nervous for that gentleman. I wasn't sure that it was going to go very well. And yet, sir, it looked pretty good. Will we be counting on you to hit a power bomb at the upcoming ADCC trials?
If I get in that position again, I'm definitely dumping somebody on their head. 100%.
You know, if you do, I think we might have to send you some merch. So we'll look into that. I can't promise you anything. And I mean, last year I did ask you for a WWE BJJ video. It is coming around that time again, sir. So it is good if we could get some kind of submission like that, and you might win. And there is a championship belt that we do give out to those who win that. So just as a heads up on that.
I'm going to keep it up here.
Okay, please do. Please do. So, sir, what has been new since we have last talked? Because, you know, I was so happy to see that you were starting to travel with your students. We talked about that on one of our last episodes that we did, and yet I did see you traveling and competing with them. How has that experience been like since we've last chat?
It's been great. We've done quite a few tournaments since we last talked, and you know, some of the most recent ones from the end of last year were like the Noki Worlds, where we had a ton of students competing. We had a bunch of Masters World Champions come out of the school. We had an adult World Champion at Blue Belt, you know, win as well, and you know, just a lot of success for the team at that event. And then you know, we recently went to the ADCC Toronto with I believe it was 12 competitors and won the entire event of 700 competitors. And it was pretty awesome because I mean, we just kept winning. You know, we just kept doing really, really well in every division that we were in. And you know, taking home a team title from Canadian schools was pretty awesome, obviously. And you know, we just recently went to that IBGF in Indianapolis and took another 15 students, and our greater team won the entire event by like doubling up the second place team. So it's just been awesome to do that. You know, it's cool to do things on your own, you know, but really it's way better to do it with your friends, students, teammates, etc.
You know, I was going to give you credit for the Indianapolis performance, but I think it weighs a little bit better to me that you can go into a Canadian territory and be like, nah, that one belongs to us. You thought you guys were just going to get this because y'all Canadian. Nope, we snuck in here and took this one. Like, that's some covert op shit that I'm really into.
Oh, yeah. We plan on doing it again as well. We're going to Montreal next month for another ADCC event. And then the plan is to take that one back home with us as well.
Amazing. All right, sir. Well, this is your first time playing the board, running the gauntlet. This is a little offshoot that we do here on the Grappling Hour. Now, you know one of these topics. You pitched that one. But the rest of these, you do not. I should ask this first and foremost. Do any of these little buzzwords make you nervous?
Yeah. Diamond. I have no idea what you're going to ask me when it comes to diamond, but I'm very curious.
Okay. You know what, though? It's good to admit the fear because I think for the most part, you're going to be okay. And I got to tell you, I don't think that's the one you should be afraid of. The rest of these, there is like one bomb in here that I'm a little nervous for you on that. I think I modified the question to maybe make sure that you can still be okay. But you're not nervous about saying anything wrong. You're not nervous about saying anything that might offend somebody in the jiu-jitsu community.
No, I think we'll be all right.
All right. Again, I knew I could trust you. So I knew there was going to be some fun in here, sir. Why don't we just get straight to this thing? What would you like to start off with?
Let's go with best.
All right, we're going to now switch on over. For best, the prompt is this. In honor of the Oscars, and in the classic tradition of rebranding jiu-jitsu moves with insane 10th planet jiu-jitsu names, I'm going to name Oscar nominees, and your job is to come up with a rebranded move or technique based on that movie's title. Your first title, Zone of Intent.
Zone of Mission Control.
There we go. Poor Things.
Dead Orchard.
Elemental.
Crackhead Control.
Robot Dreams.
Sailor Jerry.
The Eternal Memory.
Eternal Memory. I don't know.
We're out of time. So, okay, full disclosure, that was not the hardest one. There is a slightly harder one here. But I did throw this one in here because of the reason. First of all, I'm a huge Oscar person, and I like educating people on the names of titles that they may not know were nominated for the Oscars throughout. The Eternal Memory, I think, was one of the documentary shorts or the shorts. So sometimes people don't know what that one is. Zone of Intent makes me laugh because it does sound like it should be a jiu-jitsu move. So there
Uh-huh.
is that one. I was gonna put down Killers of the Flower Moon, but I feel like there's already at least two that they have like that split that name. Um, have you ever created a move or rebranded a move?
Uh, Not with any success to bring to the greater jiu-jitsu community. Uh, Obviously, every single person who does guillotines has their name plus teen in it,
Mm.
and so that was a thing for a little while. But like I let that one die a really swift death as quickly as I could. But no, not really. I don't think I have any techniques that I've named. I take it back. I have one technique that I named, but nobody. I mean, I don't think anybody has ever heard of it, and it's the only one that I use the name that I made up. And it's such a small. It's just like a little movement. I call it the bicycle thief for absolutely no reason, and I couldn't begin to describe it. Um, so one day I might make like a little tiny mini instructional on this one movement, this esoteric movement called the bicycle thief, after the French film, uh, black and white film from like I think it was the 50s or something like that. Probably have
It
no
is.
idea
It,
what
may I
it
point this
is, right?
out? Yes, you are 100% correct. But I like that, I knew I had a very tough category with this one. And at first you're like, what the? Oh, I'm going to have to rename. Okay, give me a second. And yet, when we finished this exercise, you're like, well, I did name it the bicycle thief. And I'm like, of all fucking things you could have named, like, you only proved the concept was 100% correct on the money for bringing you on for that one, sir.
Beautiful.
Okay, it's a little bit harder to do this in reverse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put on some time, and I want you to have like just give me names of either movies, and I'll see if I can create the move or technique because you didn't prepare for this, but just start throwing out movies because I should be able to do it. Uh, we're gonna start this in 3, 2, 1, sir. Go right ahead.
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. That's the one where you start to read somebody their last rites. I think it's a good cross trawler, and then as you're doing it, you're just kind of sitting in there and saying like, "Say hi to your mother for me."
uh, Casino.
Oh, Scorsese fan. That's what we're going down here. Okay, Casino is it's. I think it's a rebranded. It's a sweep. It's a rebranded sweep. But like a scissor sweep. That's what it is because it feels like a roulette table. Next.
Toy Story.
Toy Story. Toy Story is where you basically do what I do, which is you drop dead. So it looks like people think you're already dead, and then you basically run amok after when they aren't looking.
And then Predator.
Predator. Oh, man, that's my favorite one. That's where you start to push on the forehead of somebody as you're standing up and trying to pass, and then all of a sudden you just heat vision, you attack old people.
I kind of now understand what you wanted me to do. Got it.
You know what? And that's the worst part is I go, some of these are going to be trial and error, and we're just going to see how they go. But I will say, the concept on this one is harder than the one that I think is the hardest. And now that I'm starting to think about it, because you said you were a man of no fear, you were daredeviling this, I actually think you might handle it okay. But there was a moment where I was like, is Garmo going to be able to handle this one? I don't even know, bro. Okay. Okay. Good start.
Okay.
Good start, sir. I'm very pleased with it, how it went on the very first one. But I do want to ask this. When you said you renamed or rebranded and you were mentioning a guillotine, which I've seen your work, it does look very good.
Mm-hmm.
And you've mentioned other people put their name to it. I'm not going to mention names, Hingertine or Comatine.
Comatine.
So, perfectly honest, Combs is a friend, and he has said it in front of me. And my ability to keep a straight face, I think puts me in the Hall of Fame of jiu-jitsu, because when he's been like, oh, well, you mean the comatine? I was like, you mean a guillotine? He's like, comatine. I go, I'm not going to do that.
It's tough. It's tough. You can't talk in the third person. You can't name the technique after yourself. It's just it's too tough to talk about it that way.
It's the reason why it's so hilarious to me is he keeps the perfect deadpan face that is akin to like Leslie Nielsen, just sticking to it. And I realize, I go, there's nothing I can say that will get him off course. And
Mhm.
rare fact, Combs is very good at jiu-jitsu, so the amount of shit that I can talk to him is kind of dependent upon how many rounds I have to do with him. So I kind of have to modulate that, because he is one of the few people who can put this giant head into a guillotine, and it is not a fun experience.
I can imagine.
So there is that. But did you name it like the Garmo team?
No, no, somebody, teammates or whatever started naming it that, and then they put it up on, in comments and videos and stuff like that. So I never called it that. And so I tried to let it, I tried to kill it as quickly as I could, because you can't. It's just, it'd be sweet if I had like a guard named after me. I mean, not that I'm like this incredible guard player, but that'd be sweet if other people called it that. But like every single person that has ever wrapped a guillotine up at some point or another has called it their technique, and it's too on the nose.
I also feel bad because I initially started as a 10th Planet guy. I'm under the Jean-Jacques Association, which means I'm essentially a cousin of them. So I've never gotten away from the association. But
Mhm.
one of the things that always makes me laugh is when somebody, say a student or a visitor, will start referring to it as the 10th Planet name. And I go, I'm not doing that. Like, you can call it whatever you want. I don't know all of them. I feel like we had a segment on our show where we used to say fake or real 10th Planet name. So I thought this was the perfect extension of that. And you would be amazed how many 10th Planet folks actually failed that one, where they were like, God damn, I thought that was a real one. And I was like, nope, that's just an acid trip that you took, buddy.
That'd be a really tough one, because there's so many techniques and they've named so many different things. I mean, and they're all ridiculous names, and none of them have any basis in reality as far as there's no descriptor. There's literally no descriptor at all.
My other favorite thing is that sometimes if you're competing against somebody who is a 10th Planet person and they are screaming those things out, you're like having to decode it. And I go, is that the genius of this? Because I spent 2 minutes trying to decode what the fuck they were yelling to do. And
Mhm.
in doing so, I might have let them pass guard accidentally. Shit.
If they passed the guard instead of just playing the
Yeah.
guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, it's a very specific hypothetical that I've come
Mhm.
up with here. While we're on this topic, before we go to our next one, I do want to ask this, since we're kind of in a branding moment. You mentioned you could never name something after you. So I think what I want to do for our premium users, and I always come up with ideas or concepts, but an idea that popped into my head was doing a tape study, or like a profile study on each athlete. So like a 5-minute video where I talk about their consistencies, like 5 major button takeaways that you should know about these people, what their best offense is, what you can see from the defense, signature moves. And when I was coming up with a name, I realized I could say something like profile study or BJJ audit. And then I started thinking, I was like, should I just do a pun that seems unforgivable because you won't forget it and nobody else can do it? And if so, what are your thoughts about the potential name of references?
Actually, not bad. I was it's
Because I
it's ridiculous enough to stick in my brain, and you're the guy. Nobody can. I. It's. I'm. I'm about it. I think you should do
okay.
it.
Okay,
I think you
thank
should
you.
do it.
I'm glad we were able to get some market research done right now, because legitimately that has been something that I have hemmed and hawed about. And I just thought, I go, I have to get used to saying it without laughing. And if I can do that, it's got a shot. But I was thinking of different names and I go, these all sound terrible. And then I just go, I think there was once a newspaper column I had toyed with calling references when I was writing for newspapers, and I was like, I think that's too much. And now that I see the climate of jiu-jitsu hosts and people who do things, I go, no, I think it's about right.
I think it should be a joke every time you say it. I think if you're serious about it, I think that's when you have to kill it. I think you have to laugh every time you do it. And when you stop laughing, you just kill the entire segment.
To be
And
fair,
you
right
put it,
now,
you know.
Garmo, as I was gearing up for it and I gave you the preface to it, I was like, and the name of the segment is references? We'll see. So, for the first time saying it out loud, it does. Maybe I got to say it a few more times before I get there, but there is that. All right, sir. Let's go to our second one. Pick where you'd like to go to next, sir.
Let's go to Union.
Ooh, Union. All right. Union, it is. The State of the Union was last week. If there was one law you could make for jiu-jitsu, what would it be?
No taxes for jiu-jitsu school owners. Period. Dot. End of story.
So you think you're a religious entity now?
Yeah, pretty much. I've built a cult, and if a cult is not a religion, then I don't know what is. So, yeah, I think that would be the move. If I got one law outside of free money, which is, I mean, no taxes is basically free money, but stuff that I earn, I'm good with that.
Do you feel like the church would get a little offended that you're kind of like inching in on theirs, or do you go the approach of like, hey, we're kind of the same. We have rituals too.
I think the church has to deal with like Scientology first and foremost, and then they could deal with the jiu-jitsu community. But that's all right. We can all live. We can all be there together.
To be fair, I've never seen a guest. Actually, that's not true. I think there have been several times on the show that somebody just goes, yeah, but you know what? What about Scientology? Like, what a great answer to come in clutch at any given time where it's like, you know what? We do suck at times, but Scientology.
Hmm.
Just saying. So you're not wrong, though. I do feel like this exemption that we have for churches, we could extend that to jiu-jitsu places, because you know what's happening right here. And I don't think people think this through. When you get kids that come here that are down on their luck, you get people that you're doing therapy to that you didn't know you're signing up for. You have so many
Hmm.
different things in one. You should be able to claim it as all those things.
100%. I agree.
It's a very good take. All right, let me give you mine real quick because I legit have not thought about it. But now that I heard you say that one, it's it's a hard one to pass and beat. But let me see what I have here for best, or I'm sorry, for Union. Let's go back to Union. It is. Damn, bro, that was really good. All right, so Garmo gave us his version of Union. I'll give you this. If I were to pass one jiu-jitsu law in the climate that we have, I think it's this. I think if you do steroids, you have to wear a certain kind of rash guard. And if you don't wear the rash guard, you're one of those people who go 80cc style with the no rash guard, I think you got to have like a tattoo. Like, I want to know. Like, I can guess sometimes by the way you fill out that rash guard, but maybe you're natty. Probably not. I just want to know, like, right up top. Am I having to protect my arms? Are you that gorilla strong? Because sometimes some of these fools now are getting at the age where they're doing supplemental things. And then I go, sir, you are too strong for me to do jiu-jitsu. I have an announcement. It does not work anymore. So I think rash guards and tattoos, identify yourselves. Show me you're a cheater. Thank you. Thoughts?
It sounds very, how do I like, very 1939 ish. Having to mark yourself as a certain type of person.
You know what, dude?
Very
Let me just tell you
stirrup.
this right now. As a person that is of maybe average or a slightly below average strength, speed, agility, I don't got time for this shit anymore. Do you know how many students who just come in on day one and just are already stronger than me? And I go, well, this is supposed to work on you, but okay, let's make this thing do something good. Like, here's a sweep. And then they just got this gorilla strength, and I go, this dude's gonna make me go all out on his first day.
I think you don't need really a marking though. You just look at the traps. that's the indicator, right? Like that's how you know. You look at the traps, like
So
you're pretty much
but
90% gonna be right.
let me point this out. I think this is a little bit different than I think we're talking about a smaller percentage of people that have to actually get the tattoo. In fact, it incentivizes people to actually wear a rash guard because my whole thing is we should already know what the deal is if you're not wearing the rash guards. But if you're already slippery and you're stronger, that means if you get to the point where you are in an advantageous position, my arm might go away from my body. And I just like to point it out so that everybody looking just sees the tattoo on you and goes, oh yeah, that dude did steroids. No question about it. Because I'm tired of this coy. Does he? Ooh, I don't know. My favorite thing is we have people in the comment section who would argue. They're like, well, Gordon's always said that he's done steroids. And I'm like, have you asked him point blank? And they go, well, yeah, I mean, he's kind of like, he's inferred it. And I go check my tape. I am the only person that has ever asked him about it to his face. And it was as a joke because at the time, if he was on stuff, which he probably was, it wasn't that good of stuff. Now he's got the like diamond precision good, where I think to myself, damn, dude, okay. But the rest of these guys are like, yeah, he said it very explicitly. And I'm like, honestly, he kind of hasn't. He's just kind of been like, I mean, now I could say I'm clearly on this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Did he say yes or no?
I don't have like any concrete proof, but the other thing that I also don't have that a lot of other people have is the time to follow his every word. Like my guy is muted. I don't think we follow each other anymore because I've just come up to the point where I said, I don't want the extra stuff. If something is newsworthy, it'll find its way to me. And it always does. But I also know that these guys are like, actually one time on his Instagram stories back in like 2023, he did say this. And I'm like, I just bring me the evidence. Tell me a quote and send me the video. And it does not exist. So I think now he's gotten a little more brave and has spoken about it because it's the changing of the narrative to like, but why are steroids bad? It's bad to judge people. So don't judge people on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of a time that I've seen him say that he was, but I definitely see that he says that it's not illegal a lot.
Right.
He says that a lot.
By the way, my favorite court defense ever seen is every person on a TV court case that just goes, well, it's not illegal. I mean, it's still probably bad, but you know what? Not illegal. Therefore, end of episode. So there is that. All right, Garmo. Where are we going next, sir?
Let's go style.
All right. Style it is. All right. David Garmo, as one of the most sophisticated looking people in jiu-jitsu, aside from yourself, name at least 3 other people in jiu-jitsu who have the best sense of style.
Oh, this is hard because everybody sucks. Okay, I'll give like a shout out to the Mendez brothers because like they always have like this super clean look of just like all black and nice clothing. I guess I don't even know what they're wearing, but it's just like black shirt, black pants, and that's it. But they've been doing it for like 10 years, so shout out to them for that. Literally everybody sucks. I've never seen anybody wear anything worth talking about. Um, Yeah, this is an indictment on the entire jiu-jitsu community. So nobody.
Wow. Okay. I want to point this out. You still haven't picked the hardest one. And yet, that was a pretty incendiary kind of response. Like, you put the rest of the style community in jiu-jitsu on notice. And I don't think you're off because the reason why it's fun to fixate on your shit is when I see you going to a tailor and it has the same heft or the same amount of importance that you put with the technique video that you're putting up. I just think to myself, I'm like, I don't know anybody else that's really doing that. Like, nobody else is really showing me, like, I'm going to sit and drink some wine in this chair Well, also, oh, by the way, next week there is a video about like sweeps. But for right now, please enjoy this uh, very difficult to wear coat that somehow works perfectly for you, but nobody else would look good wearing it. So I'd like to think that you are in that conversation. But I was curious because I go, you got to be looking at other people's stuff. And the fact that nobody is identified or singled out to you, it is concerning.
There, can I give it one caveat?
Sure.
Most of the time, I see these people, at tournaments or in a jiu-jitsu setting, and
Okay.
maybe some of them do have style. They just obviously aren't showing it in those venues or those avenues and stuff. So maybe somebody does, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna put this on here right now because we did just get a notification here that let me know somebody is in the comment section, and this will have nothing to do with my response. But here is going to be my official response to this one, sir. So we got Garmo here. We turn this off and we go back to me, and I tell you this. Unlike Garmo, I can name some people with style. We'll first go with Kyle Chambers. Kyle Chambers pulls off unique things that I sometimes wonder, how do you do that, sir? And it's so impressive, but I have to always tell him I could never wear that. Like, my dude has a Mountie hat sometimes on. I think I've seen him wear an Undertaker hat. Like, doesn't matter what it is. He pulls it off with confidence, and I give him that. We got a comment here from Brandon McNinja, a.k.a. Brandon McCatherine, and I have to put him in the style guide because you know why? He's one of the first people that showed up in a suit for jiu-jitsu events. And I've got two modes. I'm either in suits or trash. And at the upcoming PGF, I think you can guess which one I'm going to be. And if I have to pick a third person, man, let's just say the iconic Jacob Couch. Just literally somebody who just shows up and you think of yourself like that dude wore a Mountain Dew rash guard, I think. So hard to see anybody else pulling that off. Kudos to him. So that's what it is. And listen, Garmo, I think you're going to be safe. I don't think anybody's coming to take your crown right now. But I will tell you, I urge you to try and find that next generation of people, or to at least coach up your folks, because I need to see some better style from people here, man. I want to see what that's going on. I want to be able to show my wife the way that my bros show up to jiu-jitsu events, the way she shows me Oscar roll-ups, where I'm going to be like, oh my God, did you see the latest thing Garmo wore? Oh my God, look at this. I think it's a gaff can that's also like a pullover hoodie. Good on him.
You know what I think would be awesome if at like this next PGF event that's with the $100,000 prize, if they did like how they do like a Super Bowl walkouts where like they have the guys walking into the locker room with their male Birkin bags and like this just off the wall fits. You guys should make that happen and have these guys walk in with their best fit into the into some place, and then eventually down the line they're actually competing. That would be sweet. Somebody's got to do that, and if somebody's going to do that, I want an invite so I can critique all of the fits on the way down. Okay, or in my weight class, then I'll be in there just stunting on people. But that would be sweet. I think that would be a really cool little portion of an event if you just had people kind of doing like
I was gonna say this, Garbo, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was gonna say I know somebody who I could mention that to, but you've already got the commissioner himself saying, hey dude, that's a great idea. So he and I'll tell you this, Star Lord, what's up, buddy? 100% on our ADCC fight companions, whenever we got to come up with material and bits that we do, my former Verbal Tap co-host, Kevin Phillips, his official job on all of these is to be a style analyst. So he comes on and the bit is he's equating how people showed up and their rash guards. And I swear to God, not many people can pull that off. But when Kevin literally says out loud, he's like, ugh, JT Torres doing another tatami ensemble. Knew that was going to happen. And it's just, it's a particular sort of hit joke where I'm like, yeah, JT's the homie, so we can hit him with that. But God damn, that's funny. Oh my God. So I think if you do the real version of it, you've also got fans and Star-Lord. I'm just saying, so we are onto something here.
Listen,
But
call me. Let me in on that. Just call me.
well, let me just tell you this right now. Garmo, it says PGF 7, 205 pounds, Garmo, bring the flash. So
All right, let's go. Let's go. I'll give up a little bit of weight just so I can get out there with some made to measure custom shit. I'm 100% in.
but you know what? Think about the shit you will be walking in with. You know, we can do this. I think Garmo, you've just pitched, you've done what we were talking about off air, which is it's my hope that we can create the next generation of panelists and broadcasters. And you may have just given yourself the best job going forward. Like, I think I can 100% see you on a style guide as I go, great. And now that we've talked about their technique, let's get a little bit to the style. Who impressed you the most? And just hearing you be the bitchy version of jiu-jitsu dude bro that goes, no one impressed me. In fact, here are the people who have disgraced fashion this week here at the PGF.
I'll be the Stephen A. Smith of the style guide.
Entertain. Love it. All right, sir. Where would you like to go now?
Let's do where.
Where it is. All right, sir. You are familiar with this one. This one says the following. From Metamoris to Kasai, there have been a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments and shows that have just fallen by the wayside. Why did they go under, and what's the best thing we can learn from their example?
I think they went under because people assumed that they were going to make a ton of money doing these things. And I think while the jiu-jitsu community is really good at supporting these events by watching them and buying the pay-per-views, I think that there's not enough in sponsorship from corporate to keep these things afloat because they cost a lot of money to run. They're really not worth it when you get down to the numbers, and you can only sell so many seats to a middling to even higher end show. So I think if anybody's going to do something, they've got to come in with deep pockets and lose money for a lot of time before it can be successful, and hopefully can get a corporate sponsorship. But I don't know how many people want to lose money for years and years on end for jiu-jitsu.
By the way, I want to point this out. I know there was a little bit of repartee, if you would, between Craig Jones, Seth, talking about ADCC. And if there's one narrative I would like to fix, I'm on Team Jiu-Jitsu. I want Jiu-Jitsu to do well. But there is one narrative I don't like. And it's when we boast about not making money on Jiu-Jitsu. Like, in no other sport or no other business do we like proudly exclaim, I don't make any money from this. I do it for the love. And it's like, that, could you? Because maybe that's part of the problem. So like, I'm rooting for you guys. I have a full response here for something vaguely in that same realm. But yeah, seeing those particulars go through, and I thought the only thing that was weird was when Metamoris was like, well, we're going to pay those athletes. And I felt like it had the authenticity of OJ saying he's going to find the real killers.
It's tough.
It's tough.
You can't overpromise, and you definitely can't underdeliver on that part of it. I mean, the athletes are what make the show go, but so many athletes are willing to take so little money to be on a show, and which I understand because some of these guys have money from other places. They don't need to compete to have an income, but the show has to make money for it to work long term. And I just don't see it working until there's an actual, real, outside of jiu-jitsu corporate sponsor that's willing to put tons of money into an event like that. I just don't see where the money comes from because it's not going to be from ticket sales. It's not going to be from pay-per-view sales. There's just not enough.
Having said that, I'll give you my response to where, here's what I'm going to say. As much as I want to give blame to just the people who run it, I think we can share this blame with a lot of people. And I think it starts with the fans. Don't ask me for the link. When we do these fight companions, everybody and their mom's like, hey, somebody got a link to that? No, go support the goddamn thing. And for sure, if you're asking me for a link for the PGF, for anything Sapatero. Like, these are the homies. These are friends of the show who I would really, really encourage you to go support. For example, you want to put your money where your mouth is. There's something big coming up. If you want to see nice things, you have to support it. So when the PGF comes up in about a month's time, I'm going to be there. A host of great athletes, great coaches, great talent, great everybody's going to be there. You got to go support that, or else it just won't exist anymore. Just saying. And this is a very nice note here from our pal, Brandon McCatherine, who's putting a very, very sweet collective here, which is saying between PGF and Sapatero, we're going to shift that narrative. And that's good. That's good. I think that's a good aspect to have. But I do believe the audience bears some responsibility. And I had told you this, Garmo, but your man over here is still salty because I was next in line on Kasai. And Rich, who was running it, a sweetheart of a human being, but he was like, "Yo, if we don't have Palmer, it's you, Raph." And I was like, "Really, really, boss?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, it's you. Also, we have no more events." And I'm like, "God, oh, crushing," because I really like Kasai.
That was an event that I always wanted to get on, and I didn't have a profile good enough to get on the show. But I was so disappointed when they just decided to close up shop. But I understood why. You know, it makes sense.
Listen, I get why some of them have to go under. I want, just as much as I want someone with money to come in, we have to give them something compelling. And for me personally, it's making a better TV product, always. If you make a better TV product, that is where those other sports start to take off. Like, that is how you get your F1. That is how you connect to people who don't normally watch. But there has to be a must-see factor. And sports don't necessarily exist in a world where you can go back and check them out later. It has to be a live element. So that's why I keep harping on TV. But what do I know? I just work in TV. All right, Garmo, which one would you like next, sir?
Well, because you told me that one of them is rough, I can't leave that to the end just in case I completely eat shit. So let's go with list.
List. Okay. All right. Let's see what it is. All right. Going in 3, 2, 1. You currently compete at 88 kg at ADCC trials, but have previously competed at 77 kg. At the risk of not offending people you might be competing against, I want you to list the following athletes that are confirmed for this year's ADCC from least to most likely to end up winning at ADCC in gold. Here are the names: Nicky Ryan, Elijah Dorsey, Joseph Chen, and JT Torres. You have 24 seconds to list them properly, sir.
From least to most?
Least to most.
Nicky, Joseph, JT, and Elijah.
So that was top down or top up? Or bottom up?
That was bottom up.
So you think Nicky Ryan is the 4 in that?
Yeah, not because he's not incredible at jiu-jitsu. I just think that he's got a lot of injuries, and he's got to be his best on that day. And it's just historically speaking, he hasn't necessarily been his best at ADCC.
Okay, who did you put at the top of that list again, sir?
I put Elijah Dorsey there.
So you think Elijah is the North Star that is happening right now in that division?
Out of that list. I think Joseph Chen is really, really good. And so I think he could definitely win his first match depending on who he gets. But he's going to get Joseph Chen he'll probably get like one of the better seeds. So it's going to be tough to get out of there. JT, I don't know what he'd be seeded, but obviously it didn't look as good in his last ADCC performance, but he is a 2-time champion. He definitely could have made the adjustments for this year. His wrestling is so good. If he just fixes some of the errors that he made in the last ADCC, he'd just be so hard to beat again. And then Elijah Dorsey is really, really underrated even though he won trials, like that kid is really, really good. He's almost never in danger, and he's just got a gas tank. They go forever. And under that ADCC rule set, I think it just I don't know who's going to beat him, with the exception of a guy like Dante or Mika or Cade. You know, I mean, there are guys that can beat him, but I think like those three guys will likely be the favorites against him. And I just can't think of anybody else that's in the division right now that is going to be favored heavily against him.
Follow up here. Would this been a harder question if I had given you 88 kg?
No, give it to me. Let's go. Let's hit it.
Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. Well, I didn't have. You know what? In lieu of myself, because I was gonna do one, I'm just gonna give you another 4. But I wasn't even prepared for that. I didn't have that listed, but I can make it happen very quickly because I know exactly who is invited thus far in. I'm gonna give you 4 names right now in 88 kg. Your job is going to be to rank them least to most. All right, here we go. Jacob Couch, Isaac Michelle, Taylor Pierman, and Pedro Marino, 88 kg.
From bottom up, I'll go Pierman, Michelle, Couch, Mourinho.
You think of those 4, Pedro's the top?
I think of those 4 under ADCC rules, he's the top. Yeah.
He did look very good this weekend. And it is very funny because I'm like, oh, 3 of these people have been on the show. When we were doing the last one on that, 4 of those people had been on the show. All 4 of them. So I'm like, see, this is why I have to have y'all do this. The joke I had ready in the chamber, I was going to make you do it, and then I was going to put the camera back on me. And in the 60 seconds, I would take 10 seconds to set it up, and then just say, my vote, my order is whoever comes on the show.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, but you got to go on a limb sometimes, right? I mean, I know most of these guys. I don't know Taylor. I've never met him, but he looked really good at
Taylor looked great, man. He was recently on the show, so you guys can check him out. His interview's going up, I think, end of the month. But what I can tell you is this. I have no issue saying an opinion, but then booking these guests who put on a good facade and who will be like, nothing hurts me, man, whatever. Sometimes they send a note and they're like, how come you didn't pick me, bro? And I go, for fuck's sake, who gives a shit? Like, why do you care? But these guys, when you get competitive people and you say, I don't think this person as much as this person, sometimes they get a little spicy in their feels. And for you, the answer is just, well, I'll just compete against him, so no big deal. All right, there you have it. For me, it's I don't think I want to go on your show, sir. And it's my favorite response because we book 95% of the people we ask. But that rare occasion when somebody's hurting their feels, you get somebody who does this. This is my favorite kind of booking. Hey, man, do you want to come on the show? Big fan. Really like what you do. And I'd love to chat with you. And they go, yeah. I go, cool. When would you like to come on? Couple days go by. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I don't know that I want to do it. And I was like, what did you see of mine that you didn't like? And then I start going through my head. I'm like, I don't think I've said shit about you. Oh, you might have heard me say something about somebody else. That's fair. That's possible. But my whole thing is we're all adults now. So if they don't want to come on, they could just say they don't want to come on. But I've definitely had people, the best response I've gotten recently from somebody who declined was somebody who said, no, you don't understand. I don't do jiu-jitsu like everybody else. I do it like for the people and, Can
I guess who that is?
You can, and I don't know that I'll tell you yes or no, but please do.
Was it Majid Hage?
No. You know what? I've never actually reached out to Majid.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know Majid at all. So I just kind of guessed. Or it's Roberto Jimenez.
Roberto has been on the show.
Okay. Damn.
Roberto has been on twice. And Garmo, I'm telling you, man, we've got a pretty good track record of getting people on. And even when Roberto says some interesting stuff, at his core, he has always been very, very kind to us and good.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, we've been pretty successful. That's why I say 95% we're on the money. But every once in a while, and it's usually somebody whose name you still don't know. Like the
Fair
big
enough.
ones themselves, every once in a while. I think I caught Miragali on the way, the end of an IBJJF, and I was just like, "Hey, man, do you want to do an interview? I'd like to do one." And he's like, "Oh, do you mind reaching out to me later?" I was like, "Not at all. Totally. I get it. You're busy. All good. I'll hit you up." What happens though is I realize, I go, "Oh, these people just aren't media trained. Like they don't know what it's like to be a real sport. Like that's not something that happens. You don't say no. You go on and you do your press obligations. We're not like that
Mhm.
here." So when I go,
Right.
"Yeah, yeah, all good. I'll give you the courtesy. I'll reach out to you." He ghosts me. He doesn't get in touch with me. And then now he has essentially become a mini Gordon. And I go, "I don't know that I want to interview you now. Like, I don't know what I add or what I can bring out of you because you seem like a parody of a human when you're writing these very long, silly things. Your jiu-jitsu
Mhm.
is great, but this thing is very silly. And God bless. Go ahead." So sometimes the ships just kind of pass by each other. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, when
Mhm.
that person was just like, "Yeah, man, I'm doing this for a greater good, and I don't think you could possibly understand." I was like, "You know what? I'll talk to you later, bud. All right, have a good day."
Man, I gotta give that some more
Oh,
thought.
oh, don't
I
worry.
think I
I'll
have a good
tell
sense.
you off air. I have no issue
Okay,
telling you off air.
awesome.
It is
Yeah.
more so I don't necessarily need to spread more negativity, but I'm not afraid to tell people stuff is
Mhm.
happening. So there is
Yeah.
that. All right. Here's the good news. That was the hardest one in my opinion. So from here on out, it should be smooth sailing. There's only one left. I think you might like this one because I am genuinely curious to hear what your response might be, because I know I myself, I wouldn't say I don't want to give too much away, but I myself may have to really explore which one it is because there may be multiple options here. But we're gonna go now to Diamond. Dustin Poirier was criticized for being too fixated on getting a guillotine at UFC 299. What's the one submission you go to, even though you know it's highly unlikely you're going to hit it?
Uh, I really don't do that often. I'm really quick to move on from things that don't work, but uh, I'm trying to think if I've done that in recent history. I mean, it probably would be a guillotine if anything, just like Dustin. But yeah, but I'm usually pretty good at letting things go and just moving on to the next thing. So I wouldn't say I get fixated on any single submission. Although in my last Enigma match or in my last Enigma tournament, I competed in my first match against a guy named Nick Newell. I really wanted to get a reverse omoplata, but I hit it, so I don't think it counts.
You're okay. All right. This topic was a failure for you. This was
Sorry.
not a backdoor brag. This is not a well, me? I never have this issue. See, Raph, as a black belt, maybe you don't understand this, who competes at a high level, sometimes I imagine the move and I hit the move, and that's just how it goes. And I'm sorry for being me.
I don't know what to tell you. That's why I'm on the show, right? This is what happens.
I mean, here's the good news. You're going to be a fashion correspondent now. We did do something successful here. I just I heard you start to give the answer that I go, "Oh, that sounds cool." He was going for a very rare move. And then the end beat is I did hit it. Womp. Just go fuck yourself, Garmo. It's just the worst.
Oh, but the question. Okay, so this question is more indicative of me always missing shit and just moving on because I
No,
learned to move on.
it's literally saying, what is your white whale submission that has a low percentage, but you still go for anywhere? And most people have like one, even phrased as to say, there's one move you go for where it's not in your best interest, but you know what? I still go for it anyway. And when you thought about the practicality of you hitting them, you're like, well, it does happen. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, you know what, Garbo? Cool. If I interpret that question as how many moves do you hit on your white belts? I'm like 100%. Me too.
All
All
of them.
can't miss on them. So, I don't know that that question burned me as much as it just showed you a little bit of a great kind of, you know what it was? You almost became the individuals that I was talking about that were too good to come on this show. Like, it legitimately sounded like, Raph, no, it's a greater purpose you couldn't possibly understand. Yet, you know what? I don't always hit moves, so I probably don't.
You flavored my answer. You talk about Miragali. You flavored my answer. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe if we talk about that, I would have been a different thing.
I want to point this out. We just had the Oscars as well this weekend, and there's been nothing that I have taken offensively from Miragali in terms of the nonsense that he'll write for these long posts. They sound very arrogant. Okay, cool. Mini Gordon, all good. But when that dude said he wanted to be an actor, that was the one that made me go, no. Like, everything else to me was like, yeah, talk your shit about anybody else. Like, that's funny. Oh, that guy. Okay, cool. Actor? No, my friend. Like, one thing I love about athletes, they can put in the work ethic. They can show up. But that is a big mountain to climb for that dude who has never, to me, successfully hit a punchline in one sentence. And I grant him that it's in his second language. But every time I see him, I'm like, dude, no script coordinator is going to sit there and wait for you to finish your line. They're going to be like, say it again from the top. Nope. Try it again. Nope. Again. So when he was saying, he's like, yeah, I want to be an actor. And I was like, oh, I don't want to see that movie. Whatever it is.
You don't think he could be like the Brazilian Ryan Gosling, like some version of Drive?
First of all, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth right now. You mean to tell me that you think Nicholas Miragali could pull off I'm Just Ken? Like, do not ever disgrace the beauty, the talent that is Ryan Gosling.
What about Ryan Gosling in the Place Beyond the Pines? I think he says 3 words.
I'll tell you this much. The thing that we learned about Ryan Gosling at this year's Oscars was as follows. Justin Timberlake was lucky that Ryan Gosling let him be the pop star from the Mickey Mouse Club. Because that man, when he was performing I'm Just Ken, I go, yeah, that's a fucking music star. Like, that's a rock star that went up there and did that. And it was a great production. I read the behind the scenes. He called all the shots. He was like, I want this to happen, this to happen. I envision it as this. Trust the talent. And to me, I have some good news here. So the good news is this. I like seeing people get what they deserve. Back in 2009, a certain young man was nominated for a movie called Tropic Thunder. Guess what? Robert Downey Jr. lost that year in a great performance, a very risky performance, and he pulled it off masterfully, but that was the year of Heath Ledger as the Joker, and you can't beat that, and Robert Downey Jr. knew that too, but guess what? The last comedic performance, by that kind of recognition, ended up manifesting this year with Robert Downey Jr. winning the Oscar for Best Supporting Role, beating Ryan Gosling, who I argue had one of the broader big comedy kind of performances in years. So if they follow that trajectory, it's my hope that Ryan Gosling is next. And I think that he is very deserving. His dramatic work is very good, but I think he deserves it. He's a very, very, very powerful actor. So that's what I have to say about that.
So you're saying Miragali could do it? That's what
don't put that shit in my mouth. Listen, if he came on the show, he might have done it. I'm just saying. But instead, he didn't come do the show. Because, the one thing I will do, whether they know it or not, I will teach people how to cut a better promo on this show. Bar none. Always. Even if they don't know it. I saw this. Thank you for this. Vegan totalitarian. It says he was blackface, very risky. Yet Tom Cruise's role actually got more heat for his depiction of a Jewish a-hole. Very telling. I don't know about that. I think the telling part about that was Tom Cruise was actually parodying I think, Harvey Weinstein at that point. So it was kind of like an in joke about that particular person. But yes, Robert Downey Jr. doing blackface was like, that should not work. And yet it did, because they played in the idea of these idiotic actors, and he pulled it off. And there are very few people who can do that. So, yeah.
When I watched that movie for the first time, it wasn't until the end credits that I realized it was Tom Cruise playing that guy.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I I don't know. There was so many things going on in Tropic Thunder, right? I
Yeah,
mean, like,
yeah.
but I remember being in the theater. I'm like, that's fucking Tom Cruise. I had no idea, and maybe that's. I mean, obvious. It's so obvious now, like to me, but I don't know how I missed it. But it was so good. That was the second best role in the movie for sure.
And I mean, listen, dude, if you're talking second best performance, and there are other people like Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Matthew McConaughey, Bill Hader in that movie, like,
So good.
think about how good you have to be that person. And I have such admiration for Matthew McConaughey, who was feeding Tom Cruise these perfect setups and like playing the perfect straight man in this. Jack Black having to be somewhat restrained, but still insane and pulling off his in there. And good news, our buddy vegan totalitarian dictator says, at first I did not recognize either. So you're in good company here, sir. I just love the fact that I knew he was in it. I knew he was going to have a cameo in it. I didn't know he would be that good, but Tom Cruise is somebody, he's a very underrated actor sometimes. So letting him cut up and have fun, I think, was very, very good. And I think for years they tried to make a spinoff happen for the Les Grossman character. He ended up hosting the MTV Video Music Awards in that character. And there's footage of him dancing with Jennifer Lopez. And like, none of it makes any sense. But I just thought, I'm just so happy you get to play the character again. So God bless. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So normally at the end of these things, Garmo, I give the opportunity to you to ask me a question that you think might trip me up, or that might have some sort of like a controversial issue in the world of jiu-jitsu. So I want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and ask me a question. It doesn't have to be controversial, but something that you think I might have a hot take on, sir. So the effort or the board now goes to you, sir, now that we have run out of topics.
Okay. To potentially trip you up, right? Just who do you think is the worst competitor invited currently to ADCC?
Shit, hold on. Okay, I got to pull that up. The worst competitor invited. Okay, let's figure out who's not coming on the show again, and then that's going to be the answer. Because I feel like most of these people I want to come back. We have a standing invitation, which is you win ADCC, you better expect to hear from me. So a lot of these guys, especially if they've been on the show, they know that for sure. The worst person invited. Well, that's weird because are you talking invited or qualified?
Who is currently on the roster for ADCC?
That's interesting. We had a handful of new people. Oh, I know who I can insult, and they'll be okay with it. Yeah, I'm just going to say Taylor Pierman. Not only because he was on the show, but because he gets mad at the fact that he was like, yeah, I go, well, how do you say your name? And he goes, it's Pierman. And he goes, but a lot of people call me Tyler Pearman. And I go, well, that's because you spell it Tyler Pearman. Have you ever thought about that? And he goes, but like, and I go, say the word pear. And he goes, pear. And I go, cool, spell it. And he goes, P. Don't make me do it. And I go, no, that's your fault, bro. Like, don't blame us. So, yeah, I mean, listen, Tyler has been on the show, and I just want to do that to create buzz because he had a great interview. And he's a pal. And I have to say this. It is entirely wild when somebody who has not been on the show, who's a friend of the show, gets qualified. Because the text I send to them is, how did you do it? Then followed by like, are you coming on the show? And they're like, fuck you, and I'll see you on Tuesday. And I go, okay, that works just fine. So, because honestly, man, a lot of these other people, I can see it for them. So, I think that's the best answer. Because it's not what? It's not Tommy Langaker. It's not like Isaac. It's not Luke Griffith. A lot of these people are good, and I don't know some of the game until I start doing these references studies. I have to get more familiar with some of these games. Like I have like 100 days to learn as much as I can for a live broadcast that we do. So up until this point, like, yeah, and I don't want to just talk shit about like being like Victor Honorio. Take that, it's you. Like I don't know his game that well, so I'm like, shit, man. But yeah, I think that's probably my answer. Does that feel satisfactory to you?
I mean, it was low hanging fruit. He's your friend, he's not going to be mad at you. It wasn't my favorite answer, but no, it's all right.
I was about to say, I was like, well, fuck off. You tell me if you think that's, I mean, look at the list and then you come back to me and you tell me if you've got somebody lower. So when we're off air.
No, I did your list. I did your list. I did two of them even.
No. I'm saying, do me a solid. After we get off there, go look at the invite list and then you tell me if I didn't just pull one that was both funny and, could be. So I'm just saying.
Okay, fair enough.
Listen, I am honest enough with my friends to be like, hey, listen, my penance is everybody is welcome to come train with me. And he is on record as not coming to train with me and then tried to blame me for it. So I was like, no, I talk shit, but you're more than welcome to come train with me. And you chose not to. So that allows me to talk more shit about you. So I have that built in. But if you have somebody better, you tell me off air and we will compare notes. But Garmo, you were able to successfully do the board. I mean, some better than others. We're still going to have issues about style. We're still going to have issues about diamond. Those were not two of your glowing moments. And we're starting to toy with the idea that at the end of these episodes, I start giving ranks out to the individual who played. So we're not black belt level yet. But I think you did get a couple stripes today. So I will say we are moving to the next rank.
Sounds good to me. Slow and steady wins the race.
It depends. This may be a very long race. I can't promise you that for sure. Garmo, do me a solid. I'm going to put the camera on you. Plug whatever you would like to plug, good sir.
Hey guys, you can follow me at Garmo Flow AJJ on Instagram and at Assembly Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram as well. If you guys ever want to come train with me, just come on down to Detroit and come train with me and all the guys. You guys are always welcome. So stop by anytime you like. Love
that. Garmo, I'm going to go ahead and close this off, but I will say bye to you off air. I thank you so much for coming on play Running the Gauntlet with us. You're a good sport and you did very well. So again, I can't say this enough. I think we found you a permanent job of being a style host. So we'll see if we can make these things happen. But at the very least, we did get Brandon and Leduc in here to both be like, fashion, you say. Step and repeat, you say. Sponsors can be seen with the step and repeat. Interesting. So two of the big boys now at 100K events that we would like to see stick around. So good on you, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
I'll see you off in just a second. The rest of you guys, thank you so much for watching Running the Gauntlet today. We already did those. Let's go straight on over to this host shot right here. Hey, before we go, a couple quick reminders. First and foremost, if you want to get yourself some merch, check out this. This is a medium. We're running out of a lot of sizes, but this is one of the rare mediums that we do have. $25 for a t-shirt, supports the show, supports me. You can also get a hoodie. That is at rafesparza.com/merch or grapplinghour.com. You can find it at either of those places. Do us a solid. Give us some love. Buy some merch. Wear it at your competitions. You'll see me in it when I'm competing. Not wearing anything else. That's pretty much the shit I'm wearing for the next year and a half. Number 2, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll ask you guys this. If you felt like there was a better answer for the white whale, the submission you're supposed to not get, or that you give up on because it's too hard, or that it just doesn't work out for you, tell us in the comment section. But yes, like, comment, subscribe means the world to me if you do that. And Stay tuned because right now premiering is our interview with Julian Espinoza, who was recently a big standout over on the East Coast with the submission finisher only nonsense, good friends, etc. That's a word salad, but we got through it. Additionally, you can also go on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/grappling hour. Give us some love and support. You see the interviews 30 days before everybody else, and you can also check out our premium offerings for tape studies, roast draft, a place where people roast my competition footage, and yes, mini-sodes that you yourself on topics you're pitching to me and I'm delivering to you. And last but not least, go ahead and join us over in our Discord at grapplinghour.com on that as well. Guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for running the gauntlet with us. It's been a great day for grappling.